Hello, I'm Jester Borris with I Want to Be a GM, and welcome to D&D Through the Ages Part 1. This video series explores the differences in the Dungeons & Dragons editions. We start with the White Box from 1974, and we go all the way through Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the game that we're all playing today. This video is broken into 6 separate chapters, and it's taken from one of our more recent live streams. If you enjoy this video, we hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content from us, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. As always, we welcome your questions and comments, and so what we'd like to know with this video is what's your favorite edition if you've been playing for a long time. I really enjoyed 2nd, I've also played a lot of 3rd, and there's a lot of people out there playing 5th edition. And if you haven't played much more outside of 5th edition, let us know what you're playing currently. We always like to hear what's going on out there. If you'd like to find the places where we hang out, be sure to check the social links in the video description. In particular, we've got a fairly active Discord, and so if you'd like to join the growing community of game masters over there, you can hop onto Discord and share your best tips, tricks, and stories. We'd love to have you. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy the video, and until next time, I'm Jester Borris with I Want to Be a GM. Stay safe and have fun.
Hey, that means
Hey, Hunter!
what?
You forgot to push the button.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you're saying live. You never know what's going to happen.
See, that's why you want to watch live, because you catch stuff like that.
Hey, yeah, so Hunt, appreciate that. Everything we just said was great, I promise you.
So, since we've rehearsed that,
yeah. Welcome back. Thanks for catching that mistake. Sorry about the muted microphone. But you never have to worry about a muted microphone when you catch us in our other locations, such as Discord, YouTube, 417 DMs on Facebook, 417 Games and Events, or at a local game store. So be sure to hit us up there, continue the conversation, and interface with our growing community of game masters. And then you'll notice Troy over here, we've got the 5 box set that we're going to be rolling into next.
well, we got these guys on Discord. Let's
Yeah,
talk to them real quick before we move on to this mess.
Well, they're actually here on Twitch with us, so thanks for that. And yeah, we're getting to your questions live now.
Yeah, live with the microphone turned on.
So let's come back up here a little bit. It's been scrolling. I want to say hello to Ark Sparkin. He's one of the GMs that we've worked with. We know him. So thanks for being here today, bud. All right, Hunt's Lantern. Let's see. So cool. I have a question. I am kind of in a stopping point for my prep in a session. It's my first time running my own campaign. Awesome, dude. We're glad to see that it's happening. That can be a lot of work. So thanks for taking that on and having a game for your friends there. I hope you guys are enjoying that. Let's see. Prep 3 to 5 scenarios that the players could do, but with the coming session that entirely decides on what the players do that day. This is awesome. This is how I run my Star Wars games, because Star Wars can get out of hand, particularly because I like to run my parties as outlaws. And so you have to have 3 or 4 contracts that they can take at any given time. And sometimes the setting has to be a little fudgeable. So you're like, okay, it's a jungle planet or whatever it happens to be. When you prep those 3 to 5 scenarios, be sure to allow yourself a little bit of room so that you can go over here. Like we've got the map behind Troy. So, Troy, just put your finger on the map for a second. Okay, that's where our adventure happens to be today. Done. Whatever your adventure happens to be, that's the tricky part, is making sure you know your world setting well enough to put those adventures in there, and they can kind of be wherever you happen to be right now. Ben does this a lot too, if you remember. He'll prep 2 or 3 adventures, or he'll prep the same adventure, but he can change the backdrop. So if you guys come up to a pass and you go left and it goes up the mountain, well, now you're fighting orcs in the mountain instead of going right, where you're going to be fighting orcs in the grasslands. Same general adventure, but he's built a little bit of room in there for him as the game master to change the backdrop and allow the players the choice, and have their choice actually matter. A lot of times in the old adventures, you'll see where you come to a fork in the road and they both end up going left. He likes to have a little bit more of the player agency take effect in his games.
What was that fella's name again?
So that's Hunt's Lantern.
Hunt's Lantern. So it sounds to me like you got a pretty good start. Hopefully you've played some before you're trying to be a DM, and so use your experience as a player. Remember the things that made a fun game for you, and incorporate those into the games that you design for your players. Rule number 1, remember this. Rule number 1, as long as you're having fun, the rules don't matter. Have fun. Rule number 2, the players never do what you want them to do. So keep that in mind as you pull your hair out and try to take more Xanax. So
it's part of the reason why I prep 3 to 4 things at a time.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're in a spaceship. You just punch in the Navicomputer. Well, same thing if you're on a bunch of horses. You're like, wonder what's in that abandoned castle over there. You're like, oh, I didn't prep that. Hold on. I gotta.
It will happen.
Yeah. So definitely a very cool.
But good luck to you. If you have any questions, you can catch us on Discord. Send us questions. I would be glad to go into any great detail that you would need to flesh out any issues that you're having. Yeah, it sounds like you're off to a good start.
Yeah.
Who's that other guy?
Well, the guy responding is Arksparkin, who we know.
Arksparkin.
He needs to participate more on Discord.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's all right. That's all right. I'll see him tomorrow. I'll talk to him about it.
Yeah, give him a noogie or something. So again, it's the prep time too when you're dealing with 3 or 4 different things. Mm-hmm. Ideally, you're weaving those different possible adventures into your overall storyline. So each one of those should be relevant to whatever the action of the main story you're telling is. Mm-hmm. You know, so it ought not to be just random goblin fight, random monster fight. You know, if you're chasing the bad guy necromancer through the mountains, well, okay, we've got these different possibilities, but they all should be related to your bad guy necromancer story.
As story matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so moving right along, our next set of boxes, and we're still not up to the first edition yet. These set of 5 boxes came out starting in 1983 to 1994. So they came out over a period of about 10 years, starting with the red box, which became known as the red box.
Why was it called the red box, Troy?
I think it had something to do with the color of it. But as we can see, we got, where am I at? We got 2 books, one for the DM, one for the players. And in here is where we really start to get into some of the nitty and gritty. And D&D game really starts to grow up when we get into these 5 boxes. They added a lot of material, mostly here, a little there, and changed some things, but they added just so much. So I do want to show some artwork. Mm-hmm. And you can see the layout of the pages look more grown up. They look more like a magazine. Oh, I just got reminded myself of this. On the back cover, you slap that down on a copy machine, get you some character sheets, and you're ready to go.
Thanks, boss.
I didn't say that. No.
So one of the questions we had earlier,
our dwarf,
was asking about death and the fear of death.
Oh yeah.
So as we're talking about hit points, this is I think where a lot of it sort of started. If you could bring me in there, Mr. Producer. But
trying to answer chats.
It's all good.
We got more chats.
Yeah. It's all good. We're good to them live.
Okay.
But when you play a wizard, you have a D4 for your hit dice. That means I'm level 1. I created my new character. I roll 1d4, and that is my hit points. No modifiers, no base, no nothing. And so if you roll a 1 on your d4 as a level 1 wizard, you had 1 hit point. And that's going to be what we find here in the red box, too. That moved forward and kept combat really dangerous, particularly for the lower level party. Mm-hmm. So your top hit die, was it D8 or D10? Do we have D10s for fighters yet?
That is a negative. In the red box, right here, fighter, die 8.
So die 8 was your top.
Elf, halfling, die 6.
Oh, it's done by race now.
It just kind of breaks it up, because then a magic user and thief are die 4.
So
Come on, Constitution bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. As you're getting that next page there, we got Hunt says, I have a total of 8 players for my first campaign, and 2 players are past DMs that I've played with, so they are there to help me out if I need it. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Having some feedback in the process in particular, there's quite a bit that goes into it. Became one that forever DM, and he gets to be a player in my game. Absolutely, being a forever DM, that's kind of where that's where you've been stuck at for a long time.
Oh Lord, I actually did a run several years as a forever DM, and it definitely becomes a different mindset. I remember when I got to sit back down and play as a player, I was lost.
Oh,
because I had so much knowledge in my head of all the books, of all the monsters, of all the scenarios, and this possibility versus that possibility. And you have to like turn off part of your brain so you can play as a player again and re-enjoy the game from somebody else's point of view. Because the DM sitting behind the screen sets the tone for the story. Mm-hmm. And when you, as a new DM, it'll be rough for a while, and you'll pick your own style, and hopefully everybody, sounds like you get a couple experienced players will help you out and say, hey, well, I hope there's not an argument. If they get into a spirited debate with you about something, listen to them, make your decision. Hopefully everybody can move on. Anyway.
So one of the things that was different here too, the red box gave us our first separation for the players and the game master. And we actually see Dungeon Master come up here, or are we still referee?
Oh no.
It is the
red box.
Dungeon Master's Guide.
Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
Dungeon Master. And not the kind that you have to spend extra money for to see. You know,
depends on if you want to bring me pizza or not. No. So this was also known, the red box was called the basic set. But now you've got some books out from what they call the advanced set.
Blue box.
I set that up, the box top there on the pedestal, so we can kind of see, show that one off.
So the blue box is called the Expert Rule Book, which is one book broken in half, parts of it for the DM, parts of it for the players. And in here, we start getting more classes description, more racial descriptions, some skills and abilities, and different equipment, how to use it, how to different things, as well as there's an adventure in here to be played. And this box set came with an adventure as well. This one, X1, you see at the Isle of Dread. So you see it's got a dinosaur, right?
Yeah, you just cast Fireball.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the Fireball's going to do much to a dinosaur. But the Isle of Dread, I've played this a few times. It can be a lot of fun. These older modules, if any of you are lucky enough to get them either off eBay or find them at a secondhand store or even off the used shelf at a game store, absolutely pick them up, because you're the DM. You need a story. Well, it's going to give you the story.
Yeah.
You can very simply sit down one night and go through all the monsters, and an orc that's described in here will be different than 5th edition. So when you get to the orcs, you just pull out your 5th edition monster manual, and there's your orc. When you get to a spell description, instead of here, you just pull out your player's handbook. We'll go to your 5th edition player's handbook and that spell description. So you can easily convert things a couple nights before you're playing it. I highly encourage you to
yeah. So one of the things the expert rules did for us is we started to expand beyond the 3 classes of fighter, magic user, and cleric, and we got things like thief.
Yeah, the thief is in here, but he really jumps off in here.
The expert rules.
In the expert rules, I mean, look at this guy. Whoa, boogie. The boogie monster there.
So now one of the things that's interesting too, as we go through this, the basic rule set was meant to bring players kind of up to level 5 to 7, and then the expert rules would get you in that a little bit more meaty, a little bit more content for a third level or so character, all the way up to level 12. So we didn't reach the caps of 20, but we did have some higher level adventures going through here.
You did. And then we get to this one, which is called Master's Companion. And this box set, again, is adding to everything that's been here before. It's just dumping more material on here. You know what I kind of think was happening as the popularity of the game was spreading? People started doing more and more homebrew and writing Gary Gygax letters and say, hey, we're doing this. I need help with that.
Well, we had publications. You may be familiar with Dragon Magazine and other some other TSR publications.
Oh, absolutely.
So everybody that was playing the game could contribute back and forth. A little bit different. Now we've got Discord and things like that.
I've got a couple boxes of Dragon Magazine, but I loved them when I was getting them live when they were coming out. They were wonderful.
So you got something pulling up here.
So they had the teal set, and that's the companion rules. Those are more expansions on players, spells, character skills, equipment, more and more stuff. And yeah, we're getting higher and higher levels. So up and these 3 box sets would get you up to almost 20th. I think 14th it describes. You can get up a little higher. So now, I don't know if you can see this. This is called the basic set. I mean, we're already 3 boxes in. I don't know why they decided they had to release a basic set. So here, and this one comes with a module as well called, where is it? In Search of the Unknown. And you can see it's number B1 in the series of the modules. One of the things I like to do in my collection, I like to make them as complete as possible. So I also include B2, which is Keep of the Borderlands.
Classic.
Which is probably, I'd say, one of my top 3 favorite modules of all time. I've played it many times. I've ran it as a DM many times. Those of you out there playing the game today, I would highly encourage you to scrounge across eBay and find a copy of it. Even if you just get get one that's all beat up, you can get it pretty cheap. And there again, whatever monsters, you're going to put your 5th edition monsters in there for your descriptions. But the story of it, it's the classic. Into the dungeon, fighting orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, carrion crawlers. There's spells. There's all kinds of stuff. It has everything in it.
The thing that it's the dungeon that makes you worry about your low hit dice pool. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm a wizard. I need more than a D4, and the carrion crawler eats you, and then you roll in the character.
Yeah,
and then you go to the next room.
Yes, Art Sparky was bringing that up a minute ago about the character's death in 1st edition. We're not yet the 1st edition, so there's still
the earlier editions are definitely much more lethal. So it was very easy to lose a character.
Yeah, so there are spells in 1st edition or in the boxes here for cure light wounds. There's healing potions, all those kind of things we're familiar with. But when you hit 0, you are done.
Yeah, no negatives,
your character's done.
Unconscious.
He gets a plot in the cemetery, and you got to go make a new character. When we get the 1st edition, it's a little more complicated. And I think this is where some of the stuff we wound up with in 5th edition has come from. But in these books, when you get to 0, you're done. No saving throws. You can cast Resurrection.
Yeah. I want to mention here, Hunt's Lantern's back with another question. He's asking, do either of you have a favorite adventure or scenario to run? I'm a bit chaotic. War crimes are my favorite. And I think that's your standard murder hobo rap.
Yeah.
It's hard to say about my favorite to run. I enjoy things where my players are role playing well, and there's just a lot of that high adventure feel. If we grew up when I was a kid, I was watching Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, RoboCop, all this big action stuff. Those are the games that I really like to play. Not necessarily because I want to have combat heavy games, but the things where the combat is important. Particularly when I run Star Wars, right? If you get into a lightsaber fight with your antagonist, if you go and you watch the movies, each of those battles in the original series was a huge moment narratively. And I kind of like to try to capture those in my games if I can. It's just the big action, huge narrative, but I'm very story driven in the way that I play the game. So that's where I like the role play and then those sort of epic moments.
Yeah, I try to keep the story to be interesting. I try to have 3 different plot lines going on my outline, so the players know what they know. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Then the bad guys know what they're doing. That's another one. And then there are a list of static events, things that are going to happen regardless of who interacts with them or not. You know, a royal wedding, wizard blows up a mountain, dragon attacks the village. Things that are going to happen no matter what anybody is doing. And if you put those 3 outlines together and you can build that out for several levels as a campaign outline, you'll have a game that will go on and will build itself as you get a few levels into it. One of the things I would encourage you, since you're doing a campaign, when your players spend some time and write up the 19-page character history, that you spend some time reading through that. And when they get around 3rd to 5th level, start incorporating things from that. And as they go on, things like orcs raided my village when I was young. That's why I left home.
Yeah.
And on the digging into the dungeon, we fought a bunch of orcs, and I found my father's dagger. I know it's his because it's got his name engraved on it. My mom gave it to him for an anniversary gift. Something. So now he found that item that's very personal to him. You just threw his character face first into your campaign.
Oh, yeah.
So now he's going to want to find out, how did these orcs get it? These aren't the same orcs that attacked my village. So you just started a whole can of worms, ball of wax. What do you want to say?
Right.
It just turned crazy.
But aside from trying to hook the party, now you've hooked that one player. That character has, the character itself is invested in whatever you've got going on.
When you do those things, be very subtle and small things. You know, not the, you came across somebody's house and it turns out it's really your family's house. You know, don't do something major that's going to stop the game. You know, something minor here and there. You know, the father's long lost will is found in the documents in some building. Who knows? So incorporate them to drag your players face first right into your campaign to really make them involved in it. And you'll get so much involvement that the next night they show up to play, they're like, hey, I found my dagger. Now I need to find this and this, or, hey, I want to go here and look at this.
Or when we go back to the city and everyone breaks apart and you're like, okay, he's going for healing potions. He's going for the armor repair. What are you doing? He's like, I'm going to go talk to the local magistrate and see if I can find out about orc activity. You're like, oh, well, now we've got somebody who's role-playing their character. That was very cool.
And it's going to drag them into your story, and they're going to start building your story for you. Because you'll see where they take the investigation of that item, and then you'll start building in preparation for what they're going to do either that night or the next night. So doing that's going to help build a lot of your campaign. And I just want to hit terminology real quick. Campaign, when I say word campaign, I'm talking about several nights of adventures, several nights, a long story. Like Star Wars, we got 12 movies out there. That's the campaign. Tonight's episode 4, A New Hope, that's your one shot. And you're going to tie them together so the story makes sense from an episodic, 12 movie franchise. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway.
Sorry, I'm responding here to Hunt's a little bit. One of the other things that you like to run, though, in terms of the content that you really, really thoroughly enjoy, was Planescape.
Oh.
Which we're going to talk a little bit more about when we get to 2nd edition.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can kind of see it back here behind me. That's Planescape. And a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you like this thing about that world setting, this thing about that world setting, they were like, let's just kind of put all this together. And it gets wild, and it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll hit that here in a moment. So we got 2 more boxes here in the 5-box or 6-box set. So the black ones, they're called the Masters, and these are going to take you up to around 20th level. And they are more information for players and DMs, more spells, more equipment, more cool skills, and weapons and just anything and everything that you'll need to wreak death and destruction on the multiverse to establish yourself as a badass in the D&D world.
Which is, where it sort of gets to. This next box is very cool, and I haven't really seen it reproduced since. At least not like in this setting. So we've got a little bit here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just that it's the gold print and the white text a little bit, but
kind of makes it hard to see.
What happens when you reach level 20? Is that the end of it?
No,
well, not anymore.
When you get to level 20, 25, somewhere along your journey as a character, you should have gone into service of a deity at the higher levels. You're serving a deity in a higher ideal of what's right. Defend the weak. So you're going to work as especially a paladin. There's a whole long list of things that you as a character, regardless if you're a magic user or a druid, fighter or what have you, and your story is going to go more towards serving a deity in one form or another. And when you get to that level 20, 25, if they like all the things that you've done for them and done for their followers and fought for in their name, they'll make you an immortal. And it doesn't make you a god, it makes you an immortal. We look through theology, we see that Hercules, who is a son of Zeus, was an immortal hero.
Yeah.
He wasn't a god, he wasn't worshipped, but he was immortal. So, but it just means you can't die. Well, it means you're really hard to kill. Because you can die, but you're really hard to kill. So, this box set talks about combat is completely different. I mean, you're no longer fighting a bunch of orcs. You're fighting other celestials and demons and stuff in the pits of hell. So
yeah, the cosmic balance is your everyday, and not so much what this king needs done.
Yeah,
anymore.
And you have a whole lot of new skills that you get to choose from, and when you're building your character, because basically you take everything your character has ever owned or currently owns, and you get rid of it. You become a Hare Krishna. You turn it all in for cash value. And you get points, and you take those points and you build your immortal character, and you buy the different skills like flying, seeing through walls, and all the Superman stuff, which was really cool. So
one of the questions that was asked here, we haven't talked a whole lot about, but we have seen, as we've talked with other players, as character progression is quite a bit slower in these older editions. At least, and it seems like it was meant to be a little bit slower.
Well, one of the things that they did, the concept of milestone didn't really exist, what I've seen. There are charts and different descriptions. You kill an orc, you get 100 experience points. You find a bag of treasure, you get so many experience points.
Yeah.
And the experience points total up. You get so many experience points and make a level. Congratulations. So I like the concept of milestone, especially up to about 5th level.
Right.
Because there's so much to keep track of. But as you get past 5th level, then becomes more individualized. So this character, he killed the monster, so he's going to get more points. But I do tend to award points like, let's just keep the math simple. We got 5 party members and we got a dragon. Everybody's going to get points for seeing the dragon. The guys that actually did the killing blow, I'm going to give some bonus. Somebody that comes up with a clever plan, I'm going to give them some points. Somebody that realizes, hey, I have a magic carpet, we can get the bug out of here, we don't have to fight the dragon. So you get points for all the different things, not just for fighting it and killing it. Encountering it, you should get some points. But when you get enough and you make your level, happy birthday. I forgot where the question was. Live!
Character progression.
Character progression.
Right, so... But we'll see a lot of people ask questions. Hey, I've been playing for 6 months with my new group. I haven't really played a lot, and now I got a bunch of level 15 guys running around. You're like, that's
6
hard
months
to handle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
let's look at it.
We'll play for 18 months and barely have a level 7 character.
Well, okay, let's look at it so much as playing time as what you're encountering. If your characters are playing in a city, your experience points that you're going to earn every day are going to be less than if you're out in the middle of a dungeon killing orcs all day. it's just not going to be as much. So you're going to progress at a slower rate. But there are different things that you can do to increase that. And your DM should actively encourage your characters to do anything that they can think of to get them to progress instead of just sitting on their butt all day.
Right.
So we have seen a lot of players that say they've been playing for 6 months and they get 10th level characters now. I would hope they didn't start at first level, play for 6 months, and then have a 15th level character, because that speed is going to rob the player of a lot of fun time.
Yeah.
Because unless you just made a character that's 10th level and you're going to go play something, that's one thing, which I really don't want to see inexperienced players do either. Because if you're inexperienced and you jump into a 10th to 15th level game, you don't know what to expect. You don't know the monsters, you don't know the magic, you don't know the traps. Or a 10th level game is going to be completely different than a first level game.
Mm-hmm.
And you really should take a new player through every level and to get him up there. Okay, so this is our Immortals.
Yeah. So that's the concept kind of came back in 3rd edition with epic levels up to 40.
Yes.
But not where you were necessarily actually immortal. It just was an incredibly powerful character. So here again with the 5-box set.
If any of you guys out there meet us at different times in person at the game stores where we're doing something, and you'd like for me to bring any of this material so you can see it, you can email us, text us.
Yeah, that's going to be social@griffinskeep.us. Social@griffinskeep.us. I'll put it in the chat here real fast.
Or the Planescape guy at Gmail.
Yep. And then, of course, hit us up on Discord. So.
Discord, Twitch. And you can see this video again on YouTube. I want to be a GM on YouTube, and you can watch it there. So we're cutting these up in little pieces to make them more viewable. These are all the original boxes. We're kind of winding this down, and we're going to get into 1st edition finally.
Well, one of the things that we did miss, though, was Fireball.
I miss Fireball.
So one of the things we saw where Fireball in the white box is treated as a field gun or a catapult. It hits this defined area, everything there is dead. Here we're dealing more with individual party members and less with epic field battles. So when it comes to Fireball, we've got a slight change in the rules, but it's still a really strong spell. So have you got that for us?
So here in the blue box, it has the best description of it.
Yeah.
1d6 per level, no limit.
No limit. Yeah, we do see a limit introduced in 2nd edition up to 10, but it's a 5th level spell. A 3rd level spell. Got to be a 3rd. Man, I'm all sideways. 3rd level spell.
Live!
5th level caster. So it's at a minimum 5d6. Yeah. Compared to 5th edition, 5th edition gives you 8d6 from the start. But the power level grows as your character does. You don't need to sacrifice a higher level spell slot and some of that swapping that they added to 5th edition's magic. So by the time I'm level 20, I have a 20d6 fireball coming at you.
Oh,
but
brutal.
So does the dragon's breath, so you're like, okay, and you still only have 20d4 hit points. You could potentially have 20 hit points as a 20th level wizard.
So in these boxes,
really
as well as the white box, the spell descriptions are very vague and very don't have any details in them. One of the big details that we'll see starting in the hardbacks are the spell descriptions, where they actually took all the range, duration, area of effect, spell components, casting time, all of that stuff, and they put it at the top of the spell, so you had like your mechanics of the spell given to you first, so that you're, as a spell caster player, these are the things that you need to know with my casting time, my spell components, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that components are things that sort of trickled in over time. So we'll start with like verbal and semantic for Fireball, but later we'll add the material.
Yep, in the white box and these, verbal, semantic are only things discussed. When we get to 1st edition, there's a material component. I know what it is. Two material
Fireball.
components.
So if you guys want to win the internet, you can try to guess there in the chat. But for just a moment, we are ready to wrap up the 5-box set. and dive into first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So if you haven't yet, be sure to follow our Twitch channel, jump into our Discord using the link on Twitch here, and you know, if you have any other questions about the content we've covered or the stuff that's coming up that I've got here behind me, let us know and we'll break it out for you. So until then, we're going to take another quick break and we'll see you on the other side of that break.